2005 Dakar Rally.
De Villiers is goed geplaas vir sy eerste skofoorwinning in vanjaar se Dakar tydren. De Villiers in sy Nissan het 'n groep van 5 motors deur die laaste beheerpunt gelei op die 12de skof van 586 km tussen Kifa in Mauritanië en Bamako in Mali. Die motorfietsryers het gevra dat hulle skof vandag geskraap word uit eerbied vir die Italianer Fabrizio Mioni wat tydens gister se 11de skof gesterf het. Hulle het na Bamako gevlieg. Die Fransman Cyril Deprez is steeds die algehele voorloper, terwyl Alfie Cox van Suid-Afrika 4de is. En dis die einde van die Afrikaanse
Time is of the essence. Every moment on your channel of champions. Sponsored by Total Quartz Lubricants.
Telefonica Dakar after a minute's silence last night for Fabrizio Mioni. The bike stage today has been cancelled. The bikes go to Bamako by air. And everybody was getting lost with the cars on today's stage. Kifa to Bamako. The African. That was how Fabrizio Mioni was also known in Dakar and rally raid circles. The 11th of January 2005 will be a sad day. It will be remembered for the sad, terrible loss of the 47-year-old Italian. He was racing yesterday. He was doing exactly what he loved. Even in his spare time, Fabrizio Mioni would travel to North Africa and show people around the continent that he loved so dearly. The whole bivouac completely rocked last night with the news of the death of Fabrizio Mioni. Upon arrival into Kifa last night, the top riders, whether or not they were pros or privateers, were taken to a quiet building to reflect upon the day's tragic news. David Fretinier saying there was really no apparent danger where he fell. He was gradually building speed on the stage. I guess maybe he was looking at his road book. There was just no reason to fall there. Some small bumps, but nothing. This is why I don't understand what has happened. He must have been looking at the road book, but then again the bike was heavy after the refueling point. 48 litres of fuel is a lot on the bike.
48 litres d'essence, je crois, et voilà, le poids de la moto a fait qu'il n'a peut-être pas pu la récupérer.
Poor Fretinier was immediately on the scene when it had happened, and everybody was ringing home, making contact with loved ones the world over. Nani Roma, the victor on two wheels last year, saying he was a clever rider. I appreciated him so much. A good guy, a fantastic guy. And even if we fought out there on the stages, we were friends back here in the bivouac. When you lose a rival, it's obviously hard, but when you lose a friend, it is just terrible. He was a great man of this world. At the evening briefing, everybody congregated. Event director Etienne Levine asked for a solemn moment of silence. The whole Dakar caravan was joined together for one memory of Fabrizio Mioni.
So, as you know, we lost Fabrizio today. We asked you to all kneel and pray.
These people had breakfast with Fabrizio Mioni only that morning.
Fabrizio n'est plus là, mais pour moi il est toujours là.
Fabrizio is not with us anymore, but I can feel him here. The Dakar will go on to Dakar. All involved here this evening, obviously very concerned about today. We have all been terribly affected by this.
Mais aussi dans la course auto et dans la course camion où il avait des amis et des camarades.
Stefan Pederhansel saying, all the way through the road section I was thinking about what we do to win these races and what we do every day to compete, what we do facing these risks. You know, I'm thinking about the tsunami when innocent people were just going about their daily business, but here, well, we risk things in motorsport, and that's something that we... But it's just so catastrophic when something like this happens.
Je dirais presque que nous, on cherche un peu à... On le cherche, tout simplement.
Last night, Etienne Levine, the event director, announced that today's stage for the motorcycles was to be postponed, and all of the bikes with their riders were to be flown to Bamako. Well, this morning the riders still had to get up early. There was no chance for them to have a lie-in. Many of them had brought their motorcycles to the edge of the flight pan so that the bikes could be immediately loaded onto the planes. It was a wake-up call, even though there was no competitive stage mileage for all of the 110 bikers still in the rally. We're now less than half of the riders in the rally as the number that left Barcelona. He says today we've got 3 rotations of Antonov 12 and 14s and 2 rotations of Antonov 74s. We're going to transport all of the 110 motorcycles in these planes. The riders will go in the planes that are normally used by the press, the staff of the Dakar, the TV people, etc. So, the Dakar organisers quickly loaded the machines onto the Antonovs, whether or not they were ridden or whether or not they were pushed. One of the stipulations, of course, was that the fuel tanks were literally only full of a thimbleful of fuel. The lone quad was loaded on, and Sil de Prey's bike was one of the last on. Then the riders had to wait until lunchtime, some of them just after lunchtime, for the planes to come back and get them as their motorcycles left without them. Then, after an hour and a half's flight to Bamako, the riders appeared off the plane. Mark Coma being one of them. Fortunately for the riders, the heat in 2005, certainly not as fierce as it was 12 months ago. It was 50 degrees Celsius this time last year at this very airfield. Today, it must be less than half. The riders soon set up camp. Some of them had the tents, and others, well, they just blew up their lilos and decided to take a pitch in the bivouac. The bikes, of course, were loaded off one of the other Antonovs, and very efficiently it was done as well by the event organisers. David Schwartz's bike from South Australia, soon being put into a holding pound before David came and collected it with teammate Andy Caldicott. Eric Verhoff's number 26 machine just going through your shot there. He's still going well. But with the Works Gauloise KTM team, Syl Dupre had written a big number 4 on his bike and used one of Fabrizio's stickers. Likewise, Jean Brucy having written his own memorial. So the overall standings obviously not having changed in the last 24 hours. Syl Dupre still leads overall ahead of Mark Comer. Third, Esteve Puyol, Cox in fourth. Caldicott sixth, ahead of Sala, de Azevedo, Chris Blaise as a rookie, ahead of Jean Brucy in 10th. But what about the people outside the top 10? Let's have a look at them. Dabrowski, Chacor, Castello, Alan Duclos and Matteo Graziani. Now let's just go back a couple of days to Attar. This is Thierry Magnaldi arriving at the stage finish. He says, well, I was really talking to the car to get it to the finish here. I didn't want it to let me down, but it got here. But now we've still got to find a problem in the gearbox, and if there is a serious problem, we don't have another one. So we'll have to ask some other people if they have one, or at least have some spare parts so that we can repair this one. So all hands on deck, they got the gearbox out, and they undid all the major bits, and they got their hands dirty.
Pour essayer à ce qu'on s'en fasse prêter une ou qu'ils nous prêtent des pièces pour pouvoir remonter notre boîte à vitesse.
So now we're going to have to ask around and see if anybody's got those spare parts, he says. Well, Jean-Louis Schlesser had already retired at Attar, and so was, well, open to offers in true business style. He says to leave someone stranded is not our style. They, being Magnaldi, made a big effort to get here and not with that much money, so we're going to help out. The mechanics then picked up a spare gearbox from Schlesser, hauled it from one side of the bivouac to the other, and prized it open. Brand fire new gearbox. So they, well, did a bit of modification with a lump hammer and an angle grinder, and soon got it fixed. Magnaldi saying, now I can sleep well tonight. I can relax and get back onto the stage tomorrow, which is exactly what he did. I have to thank Jean-Louis Schlesser for helping me, because it is down to him that I am still in the rally. He's still in the top 10. Well done to all concerned.
Ooh, ah, ooh. Cravings.
So today's stage from Kiffa to Bamako, making up stage 12 of the Telefonica Dakar 2005. A short road section of some 25 kilometers before a big stage, 586 kilometers. It's a biggie. Then with another long road section of 208 kilometers at the end, a total kilometerage today of 819, a long way. everybody competing on four wheels today carried a black armband. Competitors tied it to their mirrors, their aerials, whatever they thought appropriate. In memory of Fabrizio Mioni, the two-time winner of the Paris-Dakar Rally, who lost his life tragically yesterday. And as the Dakar Rally moves from Mauritania into Mali, more and more spectators were out on the stage to see the caravan come through. Jose Maria Servia didn't have a good day today. The lone Schlesser buggy continuing in the rally hit a tree. The 3-litre V6 having problems in the stage after the accident, and at the moment of this broadcast things don't look good for him at all. He lost 45 minutes on today's stage. He's now 22 hours behind the overall leader. Not a good day. Let's hope he can repair the damage this evening. Ari Vatanen getting through the stage in 7th position, only some 17 minutes off the pace in a monster stage, some 7 hours and 38 minutes that Vatanen, the 1981 World Rally Champion, spent on today's stage. He's no stranger to Africa. He's won this rally 4 times. This year, unfortunately, not going to be his 5th. And now here is the two-wheel drive machine of Guino. And they've gone down a bit of a dead end, so in true driver style, he kicked the co-driver out to try and find a way out of this problematic area. The dry stream causing things to be a little difficult if they were to go down in it, but eventually they decided to go back from when they came, and they got out of it. Guino still having an exceptionally strong rally, and as we saw, a two-wheel drive buggy together with Thierry Magnaldi not necessarily being a bad thing to have. The weather did brighten up at about midday today. The sun peered eventually through the clouds and eventually through the sandstorm that has been bugging the Dakar over the last 7-8 days or so. Carlos Souza would have found it good going though, a little cooler inside the Nissan than 12 months ago when it was 50 degrees coming into Bamako. Carlos Souza having a good day once more. 5th on the stage he was, just under 11 minutes back of the eventual victor. Carlos Souza, though having lost an enormous amount of time earlier this week, he's now 7th in the overall standings. Now, one of the Latvian four-wheel drive buggies had a bit of bad luck today, together with our Volant Dakar, our rookie Dakar machine. The pair of them, can you believe it, actually hitting each other in the middle of the stage, and the pair of them losing time. The scenery, once more spectacular, as Mali was the host to the Dakar. Dakar organisation having gone through many of the villages days in advance, warning people that the rally was coming through. We're now on board with Eddie Orioli, the Italian 4-time victor of the Dakar on two wheels. He's now with the Isuzu squad. It's their first works effort on the Dakar, and interestingly enough, Clay Regazzoni, the former Ferrari Formula 1 driver, is driving in one of the service vehicles. Clay Regazzoni, a multiple Formula 1 winner in the 70s. The victor of today's stage didn't have much time to look at the elephant trees, or indeed much of the wildlife that was all around many of the villages today. Janil de Villiers from South Africa getting his foot down. And even though he lost his way at one point in this particular village, he managed to come home 3 minutes ahead of the rest of the field today in a stage that took de Villiers some 7 hours and 21 minutes. A long time in a car on a stage, but fortunately, as I have said, cooler conditions today. The dust still everywhere. De Villiers, though, in 4th position overall. He's got a healthy advantage over the guy behind him, but it's as good as 3 hours to catch 3rd position overall. Maybe too steep a hill to climb. Things getting once more and more verdant as the palm trees get more and more numerous by the mile. This is Black Africa. Colours are everywhere. At the beginning of the stage, though, everybody was together. Stefan Perhansel, the Dakar leader, coming into today's stage, together with Jutta Kleinschmidt, together with Perhansel's teammate, Luc Alphon. Jutta Kleinschmidt having problems in one of the villages, even though she had slowed down to the 50km/h speed limit that is policed by the GPS system. She managed to hit a small cow or even a calf and lose a little bit of time. Kleinschmidt coming home in 6th position today, some 13 minutes back of De Villiers, the victor of the stage. But with the single track roads, you've got to be brave if you're going to make a passing manoeuvre on somebody. One of the Mitsubishis thinking the better of it and just throttling off a moment. But with so many villages, there can only be so many ways out of them. Kleinschmidt, Perhansel and Sabi all trying to find the best way home. It really was a spaghetti junction in many of the villages, as not only were there cows in the road at one point, but even the odd goat making a last bid run for home. At the first control points, they were again a line astern. Luc Alphon clinching 3rd position on today's stage, just back of his teammate Perhansel 2nd. But of course De Villiers, who rocked up victorious. No such luck for Vincent Bartan with his Mercedes, rolling it big time. Fortunately, the crew okay. Unfortunately, the Mercedes doesn't look too badly damaged. De Villiers being victorious on today's stage ahead of Stefan Perhansel, Alphon Sabi and Sousa. For De Villiers, his first stage victory of the season. Overall, Perhansel's lead is still 23 minutes ahead of Alphon. Kleinschmidt, De Villiers 4th, Sabi in 5th position. Roma 6th, Sousa 7th, Magnaldi 8th, Monterde in the BMW 9th, Servia still 10th.
Very, very tough. It was very twisty and sandy in the beginning, and the last bit was just so bumpy, just incredible, and very, very tough stage. Certainly one of the toughest ones.
You're happy with your co-pilot?
Yeah, we had a good, I think everybody got lost today. At certain times there were 4 or 5 cars driving around in circles. The guy that led got lost sometimes, but in the end we managed to get in behind Stefan, and I mean, it's impossible to overtake in the dust, so but we were happy to just hold station.
Les pistes n'étaient pas rapides, on a eu une longue
Stefan
partie.
Perhansel saying the tracks were not that quick. We had
très éprouvant au niveau du pilotage.
We had a long section, 40-60 kilometers an hour. It was difficult to drive, but easy to get lost. In the end, we took a big road, and that was much easier. We saw the kilometers get underneath us a lot quicker. For us it's hard, but we can imagine behind in the dust, especially in the night, it's going to be very, very difficult indeed. Very difficult, says Jutta Kleinschmidt, to find the best way today, because no bikes, of course, in front of us. We were the first car on the road and everybody caught me. We were together for about 400 kilometers, but then after I broke a camshaft, actually, I had to limp home into the finish here. But we're happy to be here now. So, bad news for Kleinschmidt.
over 30 years, Saybat batteries have been powering our nation's vehicles. Phone the Saybat Battery Call Centre now on 0860 12 0012 to get your Saybat battery delivered and fitted, and you'll receive a free set of jumper cables. Saybat, South Africa's fastest moving batteries. For over 30 years, Saybat batteries have been powering our nation's vehicles. Phone the Saybat Battery Call Centre now on 0860 12 0012 to get your Saybat battery delivered and fitted, and you'll receive a free set of jumper cables. Saybat, South Africa's fastest moving batteries.
Well, if you can imagine what it was like driving a car today, can you imagine what it was like driving one of the 11-ton trucks on the stage from Kiffa to Bamako? We really now have got out of the Sahara part of Africa, and we're into Black Africa. We're on board with Hans Becks. Not only is it not wide enough on the stage, it's not tall enough on the stage. Gerard de Roy. No problems for him today with his DAF, as the trucks are still in the stage, getting the miles underneath them at the point of this broadcast. But everybody still running today, and probably to the end of the rally come Sunday with the black armband in memory of Mione. Kabirov, though, a commanding lead with the trucks coming into today's stage, and the massive amounts of mileage needing to be done, no problem at all for the Kamaz. Vladimir Chigin may have lost time, but is this going to be Kabirov's year 2005? Come Lac Rose, the Pink Lake, the final stage of nearly 9,000 kilometres of Dakar Rally on Sunday afternoon. Well, let's hope that everybody got through the stage, as others, well, they just decided to have a rain check and watch the world go by. Who says you don't get value for money with transport in this part of the world? Tomorrow's stage, stage 13, a road section of 205 kilometres out of Bamako, then a stage of 370 kilometres up towards Kays, where the competing crews will meet back up with their service crews who have not come to Bamako this evening as per the regulations. Join us tomorrow for more Dakar news.